And it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dan McKernan.
Hello.
Dan is the president and founder of Barn Sanctuary in Chelsea, Michigan, and host of the Barn Sanctuary series that premiered on Animal Planet. So he wears many hats, including the one you see on him today, and spends most of his days around animals. At Barn Sanctuary, which Dan founded in 2016, he and his team work to rescue and rehabilitate refugee animals from the local and national community and place them in loving homes when they're ready. Being a certified animal cruelty investigator and certified animal control officer, Dan displays compassion toward animals as if they were family. So Dan, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, great. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I started a farm animal rescue to really get away from my desk job and get away from people. And here I am talking in front of people. So it's definitely, a lot has changed since I started the sanctuary about 7 years ago. All right, real quick, I'll just show you where I came from. So I literally just drove straight from East Detroit on the river, which isn't the safest neighborhood, to the last 3 days I've been working on rescuing 3 turkeys in the neighborhoods, and they are fast and agile. And so tomorrow I promise I'm going to catch them because I'll have all the great equipment. You're going to see I have a towel because I went there real fast just to pick them up. But let's see if that plays. Yeah. Super pretty boy turkey. Just a simple, yeah, that was about it. But it was a lot of fun. Also, it's one of the reasons why my presentation is going to be a little short because I am lacking sleep. So just real quick, a little history about me. Yeah, I'm a co-founder of Barn Sanctuary. Basically, my dad's the other co-founder. I wouldn't have a sanctuary if he didn't say yes for me to use his land. And so the farm has been in my family for over 140 years. And about 6-7 years ago, my dad asked me, what should we do with the farm? My twin brother was like, sell it to Walmart, which I think is the worst possible thing in the world. And my grandma would be rolling over in her grave. And so I came up with the idea of starting a farm animal rescue after just recently going vegan out in Austin, Texas. I believe, what year? 2015. I remember my partner at the time sat me down at, we were out to some restaurant. I remember I wasn't vegan or vegetarian at that time, but trust me, I feel really bad what was on my plate at that time. But she sat me down and said, Dan, I'm going vegan. Please respect that decision. And if you knew my partner, you better respect that decision, especially because we live together. And we cooked a lot of amazing plant-based dishes, which definitely helped me go plant-based. Some of the key documentaries, or documentary, should I say, was Cowspiracy. Really got to me. And at the same time, I was training. Wait, I didn't go to the slide. That's it, right there. That's the slide. That's me. I was basically a tech bro. It's a term people use. I worked in tech startups. I taught myself how to code and develop. And I actually helped nonprofits fundraise. But the company I was working with would charge nonprofits to fundraise. So it felt really weird. But at that time, that's when my partner sat me down. And I was training for a triathlon, which I highly recommend. It's hard. Please don't do it. I almost had a heart attack. No, I'm just kidding. But it was great. It was a sprint triathlon, so it wasn't too bad. And while I was training, that was the first time I ever touched a cow. It was right there. And I was like, I'm vegan. Literally, that cow changed my life. I had a Great Dane, Luna, at the same time, so it really reminded me. And then that's when my dad really called and said, hey, let's do something special with the property. I just got done reading Gene Bauer's book, Living a Farm Sanctuary Life. And so he really inspired me, and he's a good friend now to this day and a mentor, and he's a pretty cool guy. So yeah, phone call from my dad. All right, next we got, then we started rescuing animals. So this farm was in my family for 140 years. Has anyone grown up on a farm here? Okay, cool. So, fun fact, farmers keep everything. Literally, there's so much junk, and we had to literally take an ice pick. This is before I knew what a skid steer was, or a little bobcat tractor thing, and then remove like petrified manure that's been up to here by hand, and it was unbelievable. But the moment we got one corner done in the big barn, I got a phone call about a calf named Cora, and Cora was actually donated to a school fundraiser to be processed as beef. And a vegan mother gave me a ring, and she's like, I just won the auction, and I don't have a farm. I have no place for this calf. And so that's kind of how we got Cora. And my dad said, yes, we can take her. And I was like, we're going to take two because she needs a buddy. And so we were able to rescue Henry and Cora. Sadly, Cora passed away this past year. She had a freak accident out in the pasture. She broke her leg in a very high place. Freak accidents happen on a farm, and sadly, we couldn't fix that injury. But she was laying on the pasture, not in much pain. The entire staff was around her, and we had to humanely put her down. And that was a hard moment of being a sanctuary founder, because usually you know which animals are not doing so well because we're taking them to the vet and trying to diagnose problems. But this came out of nowhere. It was definitely difficult. But yeah, hanging out with Cora and Henry, they really taught me how much farm animals are truly individuals. They love to be loved, and they love receiving the love as well. And so, let's see. Yeah, this is one of the first moments I had with Cora, where we were just hanging out in the pasture. And I think I was mocking her as she was chewing cud. Cud is partially digested grass, hay, in case anyone's wondering. That is the number one question I get on my TikTok lives. It's insane. I should make a t-shirt. But this is one of the videos that really gained a lot of attention online. And then I was just like, oh my gosh. I knew what I wanted to do with my life after that moment. She showed compassion. She didn't have to, but that was her showing trust in me. And so then I was like, we need to rescue more animals. And we do refer to the rescues as residents on the farm. I work for them. And so up there you see Big Boy Jasper. His previous owner went to jail. So technically, yeah, I don't know for what, but Jasper needed a home. So I drove out to Vermont to pick him up. And we always try to do the buddy system, and that is June on the far right as well. And then you'll see that is Rose, one of our first sheep. She's named after my grandmother. And her sister Ruth is the other sheep. And I forgot to put a picture of the three amigos up there. Martin, Chevy, and Steve are goats that were involved in a high-speed police chase. Some guy tried to run away from the cops with that trailer. It was unbelievable. And then you got little dude to the right, who his little siblings were munching on his foot a little bit. So he needed a place. And then there was Mike's road trip all the way out to California to try to save his eyesight. He rescued a blind calf. His retina was detaching, and the only doctor willing to do the surgery was out in Pasadena, California. And from Michigan, it's about a 36-hour drive. And so that's what we did. It was awesome. It smelled a lot because he went into the bathroom in the back of the van all the time. But I got to tell you, it was really comical when I was at a gas station and I needed to get some fresh air, and I just opened up that van door, and everyone's just like pretty shocked that there's a cow in the car. Especially that one time I got the speeding ticket. The cop still gave me the ticket, but asked his partner to leave the vehicle to come look at the cow, Mike at the time. So it was pretty comical. And those tiny interactions of like just opening the van door or getting pulled over, don't speed. I wasn't speeding that bad. They were also training that police officer. So, yeah, it's iffy. Those are planting seeds. And I'm hoping those seeds blossom into something else. That's kind of the way we do our advocacy at Barn Sanctuaries. We show the positivity and positive emotions of being around these individual residents. And so at this time, like, everything's going great. The momentum is like the snowball effect. It just keeps building and building and building. And so, you know, up until probably, I think it was late 2018, you know, we got 50-ish rescues, residents. You know, it's so cool, this photo. It's one of my favorites because the pigs aren't in with the cows anymore. Pigs like to root and ruin a pasture, and cows don't like it. So that's Cora, Henry, you got Adam right there, and then Penny closest, I believe, and then big boy Charles in the back right. At this time, I have 6 to 7 staff members as well. Who knew when you started a nonprofit that is going to be a business? You need to look up HR things on the internet. You got to run payroll. You get all these things. And, you know, growing with staff is a good thing. We're growing as an organization. We're able to rescue more animals. And so it was just so much administrative work. I had no idea. I thought I was going to go hang out with animals all day. But yeah, if you are ever interested in opening a sanctuary, a really good resource that wasn't around when I started, it's called opensanctuary.org. It has everything on that website that you need to find. And I find stuff on that website that I need constantly. And so, you know, as we grew as a sanctuary, we needed new buildings. We need to put down more fencing. And so, you know, my dad works a lot. He's a workaholic. I love you, Dad, but I have to literally kick him off the farm to go take a vacation. And I kind of have that tendency as well. So all that momentum is still going. Media opportunities are coming out. After that road trip with Mike, I was on the Ellen show, which was really cool for her 60th special. I had no idea that was going to happen. And then all of the social media following that came with everything. Who knew hanging out with farm animals in a pasture was something people wanted to see on the internet? I had no idea. But at the same time, seeing all those comments saying, you are the reason why I went vegan, it made it all worth it. You know, I do have a very large social following. It's a curse at times because it makes me a very public person. And so literally people are always wondering, is everything okay? Where are you? You know, and they like to interpret things, and it gets a little weird. Definitely weird. So yeah, all the responsibilities of being the founder and of running a sanctuary, doing all the fundraising, was starting to get to me at that time. And so, but the thing that kept me going was the animals. They were the ones that kept me going through those awesome times. So, has anyone seen the TV show? Okay, cool. Sweet. Y'all should go check it out. It's still on Discovery Plus and Amazon, anywhere you can buy TV. Of course, Animal Planet won't give it away for free. They didn't even give me access to Animal Planet to watch my own TV show. Literally. And so here, I'm just going to play the front trailer. By the way, they made me flip my hair in this, like go like this in slow-mo. It's really annoying. I hate it every time I see it. But also, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but.
My name is Dan McKernan, and I'm the founder of Barn Sanctuary. We rescue farm animals from cases of abuse, neglect, and natural disasters. And they come to our farm, get rehabilitated, and live out the rest of their natural lives.
That's the intro to the TV show. It's pretty cool, though. We were able to get 12 one-hour-long episodes. Let me pause that. 12 one-hour-long episodes, which on a major television network is a huge opportunity to plant some seeds, especially when every single commercial is Carl's Jr. is unbelievable. And so after that 6 months of filming, they decided to move into a different direction. They greenlit a show called Pig Royalty, which is about kids showing off pigs at the 4-H fair and dressing them up and being really dramatic with their family members. If I don't know what, it's reality TV. I consider our show a docu-series. It's really special. So, but before we aired the TV show, and I think I found out in September 2018 that we were going to have one, and then it actually aired in April 2020, right at the beginning of COVID. And so now we're in September 2018, October 2018. I've been hit with our worst case, worst rescue, but best rescue, because it was Andy. Andy was involved in a barn fire. That is the first time I ever saw Andy on the far left. Sorry if it is graphic. That's him on the right when all of his wounds were healing pretty well. And he had some really, pardon my language, badass leg braces. He broke out of a barn fire all by himself and got cuts. He was the only animal in that barn at the time, but you could see how resilient he was. The resilience he had to fight and to live was quite amazing. I have a very large tattoo of him on me. It hurt, but I can only imagine how much that hurt. So yeah, at this time, 2018, things are getting pretty gnarly. A lot of pressure, a lot of eyeballs, and then Andy passed away. He had a sore, an infection we couldn't see that was going inside of his bone. A very, something that really stinks with the animal agricultural industry. I forget, I'm in a room with a lot of vegans, so I don't have to worry about my terminology too much right now. Because I'm usually talking with other farmers, and I kind of like, it's a little political. It's a weird. But Andy wasn't able to have access to a particular antibiotic that would attack that infection immediately in its joint. And so, because he was considered a food animal, even though he wasn't a food animal, like to us. But it would be illegal for a veterinarian to prescribe that antibiotic to Andy, which is highly frustrating. I was just like, should I go to Taiwan and get some illegally? Like, what do I have to do? But sadly, he passed away. Right after he passed away, I needed to get distracted. I don't know if anyone remembers Hurricane Florence down in North Carolina. Pretty gnarly. Literally on that screen, you can see the blue dot. That's me. I drove straight into a hurricane to try and rescue some farm animals. Sadly, we were unable to get any because part of the process for the animal... Anyways, farmers, they would lock their doors so the animals couldn't get out because insurance would pay them a lot of money. That was traumatizing for me to see. That's my photo right there. Like, it was really traumatizing. We were able to rescue a few dogs from the hurricane, but the farms were heavily guarded. I was literally floating in the cesspools of pig farms because it was one with the river, which was like a 10 square mile flood zone. It was unbelievably disgusting. But yeah, that time was pretty tough. And then my at that time my long-term relationship really ended. It was a bit toxic, but it ended, and I just hit a wall. And so, with all the pressure I had, and this is the first time I'm really talking about this publicly. I've talked about it online, but not in a room full of people. But on February 12th, 2019, I attempted to take my own life because I didn't know what else to do. It was no one else wouldn't expect that on social media because I always had a smile on. And sometimes on social media, you got to keep that smile going. instead of, but you don't. You can just be real and honest with people about your mental health and what you're going through. And so, yeah, at that time, I checked myself into a hospital, even though other people were like, Dan, you just got to keep out rescuing animals. And I was like, no, long term, I think it's better if I went and checked myself in. So I did check myself in, went to group therapy, talked to a lot of therapists, and came out stronger than ever. That's when we started filming the TV show for 6 months. It was quite the experience. But yeah, it was really hard. And so what did I do when I feel like I'm saying got out, like I got out of prison. But it was really it was a good thing to go. I hung out with the animals a lot, to the point where I was just sleeping with them every day. And a really amazing thing was, they didn't judge me for what I did. I tell people, like, to this day, I still feel shame about doing what I did. And, I think in time that will go away, but it's just how I'm feeling right now. But I know that the animals, they just wanted to hang out and be my best friend. They were the people I had that I needed the most. And so, they didn't judge me and I didn't judge them. We just sat in peace all the time. And it was really amazing. And I slept a lot with the animals. It was pretty amazing. And so I want to talk about mental health and about how animals and humans are all the same. The relationships we have with our family, people that have a support network that talk. Everyone here should have a support network. Their best friends, their partners, their closest group of friends, whatever. But something that was just really amazing was that my support network, yes, I had my family, but it was the animals. They were my support network. They really did save me and kept me going strong. And so according to the National Institute of Health, studies show human-animal interactions help to decrease levels of cortisol, a stress hormone that can cause a spike in heart rate and blood pressure. Interacting with animals also boosts the feel-good hormone oxytocin, which is really cool because I was wondering why I felt so good around the animals all the time. So there's some science backing it. They made me less depressed, people. So these are the Golden Girls, and some of the, that's Stanley just staring at me right in the face. He's awesome. Fun fact, I never watched an episode of the Golden Girls, and I sat with them in their coop and watched an episode, and I was able to name all the turkeys based off the personalities I was seeing on the TV. It was pretty cool. And so something else here, animals like dogs can encourage people to get out of bed or off the couch and get physically moving. On a physiological level, being in the presence of an animal activates a person's biological system or their interpersonal neurobiology. Fancy words for me to say. So people are actually more friendly, more approachable, and more optimistic, more likely to engage in conversations with other people. Like I said, I just wanted to start a farm animal rescue and hang out with animals, but here I am talking with all of you. I think it's super important to talk about this type of stuff. And these are the piglets that were born on the farm, by the way. I happened to rescue 2 pregnant moms. I was a midwife to one. She gave birth to 13 piglets. And then I was like, great, I'll be the midwife to the second one. No, she wanted to eat my face off. I literally had to jump onto a ledge that was about an inch and hide away. It was unbelievable. It was Kim. Her name's Kim. First mother was Annette. She's adorable. All the piglet. It's really hard to find a home for pigs, by the way. They're all living at our pig barn. They're 500 plus pounds. And one is Big Papa. The father, both litters, is about 1,000 pounds. I call them land sharks to this day. They're great. All right, so if you're in the presence of an animal that is enthusiastic because you got home, because you're interacting with them, you can literally see the changes in a human being, such as a voice tone or a body posture. that are activated through the neurobiological system through the interaction with a living being. So in this photo, I was in California, and I was having a down day. But I went out to go see, I was invited to a smaller sanctuary in the valley called Singer Sanctuary. And I sat down with this duck, and it just changed my mood immediately. It was great. And then I realized the owner was telling me the duck wanted to mate with me, so it was a little weird. I felt a little odd. He would not leave my side. It was funny. So what did the animals really teach me? Resilience and trust. To trust them because they trust you. To be resilient, just like Andy. Life's going to knock you down. Get back up. And so when you all are doing your advocacy work or talking with your family about how amazing farm animals are, try not to get too down about it. Plant those seeds, one seed at a time, because they will blossom. The wheels in their head will turn. It just is a matter of when. So, oh yeah, I also wrote a kid's book. And it's about mental health and kids to, if you're a new kid in school, you want to be able to treat other kids with compassion. Don't pick on them. Don't be a bully. I moved around a lot as a kid. And so this is about Buttercup being the new rescue at the farm, which is really, it was pretty magical. I thought from the TV show, you could see that Buttercup wanted to murder me. It was really funny because the film crew was like, Dan, you got this. And I was just like, okay. And I'm in there and I'm just down. And she's here just, trying to threaten me. Just realized that it was all show and no go. She was just scared because the owner would have a lot of parties and fireworks on that farm, and would also let kids ride the cows through parades and stuff like that. It was pretty insane. But in time, my dad, I call him a cow whisperer, gained her trust. And so now she is living life up at the sanctuary. She trusted the cows immediately. But that's a cow thing. Other than that, here, if you know of someone or anyone that is thinking about it or is depressed or anxious, please get them to talk or call this line, this helpline, because it really does help, So, yeah, that's everything I got for you today. Are there any questions at all? Any questions? It can be about anything. It could be the TV show. I see one. Oh, I'm sorry. You were supposed to hand a mic. My bad. You can shout. Or do you need it for filming purposes? Probably. Yeah. Audio. Oh.
I do. I was just wondering, how much does it cost to actually operate the sanctuary day to day?
Day to day. I can tell you, I think in 2020 or 2019 was our most expensive year because from filming, we rescued the most amount of residents. We spent over $150,000 on veterinary bills. That includes all the medicine we give the animals and supplements. We administer over 100 a day to our residents. But it can be expensive. But also, if you have a micro sanctuary, you can keep costs down. Also, you can rescue fairly healthy animals too. We have a lot of animals with mobility issues. We have a lot of geriatric residents. Just know that, when you rescue 2 pregnant mom pigs, you're going to have a bunch of old pigs one day. So that year will probably be pretty expensive. So it's hard to tell. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. So, hey, first of all, I just want to commend you for your courage, not only
Thank
to
you.
talk about mental health, but to leave your job. And actually, I grew up in Texas too, and now live in Michigan. So it's, I just want to commend you for taking that leap of faith and following your heart. And, again, like I had mentioned to you, and your show changed my life. It truly did. And it was the episode with the donkeys when one of them had colic. And I was able to see the emotions that they had once separated. And it was that aha moment to me of how they just want to live just like we do. And I work in hospice bereavement. And so my whole life I've wanted to live a life of compassion. And, what you brought to the screen was just then the beginning of completing that cycle for me to feel like, more of a compassionate being in everything I do, and then advocacy that I try to do as well now with folks. But, one of those pigs is actually, I've been sponsoring
Adam. Yeah.
and which now, since he actually just died recently, and it was his grief story that was the reason why I chose him, because I have my own significant grief story myself. But I'm going to sponsor Penny. I'll continue with her since I know she's missing Adam.
Yeah, I know
But
she
so
is.
I would like to just encourage everyone, check out the TV show, social media. They're great at doing that, and really putting, just simplifying it and never pushing it just to give you little bits of just such positive outcomes, and just you really can see how important these living beings are, and it's like you said, no different than humans.
Yeah.
In wanting to live a life free from harm. And I still remember the day I decided during the pandemic that I could never look at my plate and realize that something suffered or was afraid just for some taste. So, again, I want to thank you for doing that, and also the courage to talk about this, because not a lot of people can do it. So thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for sponsoring Adam. Adam was he was amazing. He was our third pig rescue. He jumped off a transport truck in the middle of winter. And so it's so funny. I think that was the first time I ever did a Facebook Live too. And it was the most awkward video, because I'd be like, all right, everyone, this is Adam. And then Matt, who passed away shortly thereafter at that time. So yeah, it can get, it's heavy running a sanctuary. But there's so many positive, great moments, because something I was so happy, and it still gives me chills to this day, was the moment we let the pigs out in their pig pasture. We built a pig palace, and it is a really big barn that got filled up real fast. But they have about 8 acres to roam whenever and wherever they want to go. And just seeing them run like dogs was magical to see. So,
do you ever get any animals that are illegal that people have they've been taken away and given to you?
Yeah, people that steal, technically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can publicly talk about it. No. There was a case. There was a case where it was a hoarding case, and that's where a lot of our turkeys came, a lot of our chickens, and there were 2 goats in a big barn, and it was full of trash. Their names are Sandy and Richard, and they couldn't walk, and they lived in this barn all by themselves for years. And so apparently this was another rescue, but the woman had a lot of mental health issues. Excuse me. And so I was able to get all the other animals off property, and the woman said, "Oh, those aren't my goats. You can't take them." And so that's when you kind of deal with like a legal thing, is you stealing someone's goats. But they couldn't stand. They were eating cat food, marshmallows, who knows what. But I did take them. I told them, I was like, I'm going to call the sheriff here right now, or you're going to contact their owners and let them know where they are. And so I just never got a phone call asking for them. So.
But you don't get animals that are not supposed to be regular animals like birds and so forth that are
Non-farm animals, or
that are animals that are not normally kept in. You're not supposed to have them.
like what kind?
Let's say a lion.
A lion. Okay. Do I ever get calls about animals that are not a farm animal? Probably. Like a lion. No, not quite a lion. I did get a water buffalo once. It's pretty close. I really wanted to bring the water buffalo to the sanctuary. I do get random ones. A lot of dog and cats. Apparently, I didn't know barn sanctuary meant wildlife rescue too. So I get a lot of phone calls about that. It's funny, I've been back and forth with the DNR all the time in Michigan because there's all these turkeys. We got wild turkeys and they go out into neighborhoods, and it is illegal for me to transport a wild animal in the state of Michigan or most states. And so I'm calling the DNR. I'm like, can you pick up this animal? It's like, oh, we're not doing that right now. I'm like, so what? And so with this group of turkeys that I'm chasing right now in East Detroit, there is one wild turkey that has basically been adopted by the two other turkeys that's hanging out, and I'm considering her domesticated. So, yeah, it's a weird line. Anyways, no lions though. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 questions. I love Q&A a lot better.
Thanks. My partner and I went vegan early in the pandemic, and you were a big reason why. So thanks for
Oh,
that.
thank you.
But if we're already vegan and we cannot open a sanctuary, we don't have the resources to do that right now. What's the most impactful thing that we can do to help farmed animals?
Yeah, no, that's really great. Something I like to personally do is the most impactful. I mean, donating to organizations, of course, but the easy way is getting people to go vegan, plant-based. And so what I spend way too much money buying vegan food for non-vegans, but it works. I've converted so many of my friends from distant friends, past friends, from dairy to oat milk. I mean, can you imagine converting someone that has been drinking dairy milk for their entire life, and now you converted to oat milk, all those years now drinking plant-based milk? Like, that is impactful right there, the amount of calves you can help out. The goal is to drive down the industry as much as possible. And so I think getting people to slowly, I mean, if they could go vegan like that, yeah, do it. But, plant those seeds so that they can get some momentum to go vegan. I think that's really impactful.
Yeah, thanks for that talk. That was very powerful. You had mentioned at one point talking with other farmers and how a certain measure of delicacy is needed in those conversations. I was wondering if you could say a little more about that. I'd be curious to hear kind of what some of the most common sticking points you encounter are and how you approach those conversations, how you go about navigating those issues.
Yeah, there's a couple things. Working with agriculture schools is hard, and you gotta be real patient to work with them. They don't understand why with Andy the cow, Andy specifically, we had multiple sit-down meetings because they're like, you're putting $10,000 into a calf right now. It just doesn't make sense economically, and it's confusing the students. That's what they told me. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't think it's coming from the students. I think it's coming from you. But that's really hard to do, and we try to find common ground with each other. We try to educate them about how they're more companions, and lead them into thinking that, I am Michigan State's probably top paying, client. So they should name a wing after barn sanctuary. And then another instance would be with the local farmers. I personally recently moved to a new farm off the sanctuary. I don't want to live with my dad at 33 years old, who lives at the current sanctuary. And that property was being used for hay, straw, and everything like that. And the McKernan name in Chelsea, Michigan is pretty well known. My grandpa was a postman. He was a realtor. Everyone knows, every farmer knows other farmers. And so this one prominent family in the area, they wanted to farm that land. And, you know, it would be a great income for the sanctuary or something like that, you know, selling that hay and straw. But the type of hay was alfalfa, which is to beef up, no pun intended, the beef, you know, make them gain weight. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, we're going to actually be supporting the industry by letting them farm it, even if we get a profit share. And so I told them, no farming. And, you know, that's like $7,000 or $8,000 a month right there from if they would have done it. So that was real interesting. And so I had to sit down and talk with them about what we do. And they respected it, you know. I want to be able to work with them, share equipment. I mean, not use our equipment. I want to use their equipment, like a skid steer tractor, to clear our barnyard and make it level and not muddy. But yeah, it's always hard. It's a fine needle that you got to thread. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, we got a knitter over there. That's cool. Are you knitting? Oh, okay. Cool. I have ADHD. All right. Squirrel. That's me. All righty. Well, thank you, everyone.